Chapter 1. Behind Closed Doors. My name is Liza. I am an old woman now, but when I look back, I see the years I lost inside four walls. People outside thought my life was fine. They saw me walking with my husband, Lucas. They saw us at gatherings sitting together. They thought we were a couple who shared love. But behind closed doors, the truth was different. Behind closed doors, I lived like a prisoner. Lucas was not just unkind. He was cruel in ways only I knew. His words were sharp. He called me useless, weak, and shameful. Every day, I heard insults that broke my spirit. I cooked for him, cleaned for him, washed for him. Yet he said I did nothing right. If the food was late, he shouted. If the clothes were not ironed, he cursed. If I was tired, he called me lazy. My heart became heavy with every insult, but I stayed silent. Silence became my habit. When his anger rose, his hand followed. Sometimes it was a slap, sometimes a push, sometimes worse. The pain on my body faded with days, but the pain in my heart stayed forever. At night, I would cover the marks with my clothes. I would put cream on my arms so the bruises would heal faster. In the morning, I smiled at neighbors so they would never know. I told them I was fine. I told them I was lucky, but only my pillow knew the truth. Only my pillow carried my tears every night. Lucas never gave me money. Not for food, not for myself. If I needed bread, I had to beg him. If I needed medicine, I had to explain every detail. He controlled everything. He wanted me small, voiceless, dependent. He wanted me to believe I was nothing without him. And for many years, I believed it. My heart whispered that I deserved better. But fear always shouted louder. I feared society. I feared what people would say if I spoke about my pain. In our community, marriage was sacred, even if it was full of pain. People respected wives who stayed, not those who left. I feared my children's judgment. Too, I thought, if I walk away, will they hate me? Will they turn their backs on me? These fears held me down. They tied me to Lucas like chains. I remember one night clearly. He came home late, smelling of alcohol. His eyes were dark with rage. I had made dinner, but he pushed the plate away. He shouted that the food was tasteless. I tried to explain, but before I finished, his hand struck my face. I fell against the chair. My ears rang. My cheek burned. He grabbed my arm so tightly that I felt my bone would break. That night, I lay awake trembling, praying for morning. I asked God, why am I still alive if this is my life? But the next morning, I smiled again. I made tea. I put food on the table. I acted like nothing happened. That was my prison. Not just the house, but my silence. Sometimes I thought about leaving. Sometimes I looked at the door and imagined walking out. But then fear filled me again. Where would I go? I had no money, no home. Society would laugh at me. My children might reject me. I thought maybe my pain was my destiny. Maybe I was born to suffer. But pain grows. It does not stay small. Every insult, every slap, every tear added weight to my soul. My heart carried so much that I felt it would explode. Some nights, I cried so loudly into my pillow that I thought the walls would break. I wanted someone to hear me. I wanted someone to tell me I was not weak, that I was not alone. But nobody came. Nobody saw. Years passed in the silence. My face aged, but my heart aged faster. I stopped dreaming. I stopped hoping. I only survived each day. My children grew up, but they did not see the truth. Lucas was smart in front of them. He smiled at them. He gave them gifts. They thought he was a good father. They never knew how their mother suffered. I never told them. I did not want to break their image of him. One day, I looked in the mirror and did not recognize myself. The woman staring back was tired, empty, lifeless. Her eyes had no light. Her lips had no smile. I touched the glass and whispered, "Who are you?" "Where's Liza? Where's the woman who once wanted to live?" My reflection gave me no answer. Behind closed doors, my life was hidden from the world. I was a prisoner in a marriage that looked normal from outside, but was poison inside. My story of suffering was still going on, and I did not know how much longer I could survive. But deep inside, a small voice still whispered, "One day this will end." That was my life in those years. That was the truth nobody saw. Like, subscribe, and share. Chapter 2, The Silent Prison. Life with Lucas was not life. It was survival. Each day started with fear and ended with silence. I woke before the sun, cooked, and cleaned. I moved like a servant in my own home. Lucas sat, ordered, and shouted. If something displeased him, his hand would remind me. I lived inside a prison that had no bars, but I felt chained every moment. I learned to hide my pain. I covered bruises with sleeves. I used powder to cover my face when it was swollen. When neighbors greeted me, I smiled. When friends asked if I was happy, I said yes. But the truth was different. Inside, I cried. Inside, I was breaking. No one knew. Nobody saw the nights when I lay in bed with silent tears. My heart pounding. My mind asking, how much longer can I endure this? I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell someone the truth. But fear stopped me. What would people say if they knew I wanted divorce? In our community, that word was heavier than pain. Wives were told to stay no matter what. Husbands were seen as kings, even if they were cruel. I feared judgment. I feared rejection. I feared my children would hate me if I left their father. So I stayed silent. My silence became my cage. I swallowed my tears day after day. I told myself, this is my fate. This is my destiny. Endure it. But every time Lucas raised his hand, a part of me died. Every time his words cut me, my soul bled. Nights were the worst. When the house was quiet, my mind was loud. I replayed every moment of abuse. His shouts echoed in my head. His face haunted me. I covered my ears with pillows, but the memories stayed. Some nights I cried until dawn. My pillow was always wet, my chest always heavy. There were moments when I thought of ending it all. I thought if I stopped breathing, the pain will stop too. But then I remember my children. I told myself, if I am gone, who will pray for them? Who will love them? This thought kept me alive even when I wanted to disappear. During the day, Lucas acted normal in front of others. To the world, he was polite, even charming. He laughed with neighbors. He smiled at relatives. People respected him. Nobody believed he was cruel, and I never told the truth. My silence protected his image while it destroyed me. I had no money of my own. If I needed medicine, I had to beg. If I wanted bread, I had to ask. Sometimes he refused even that. He said I did not deserve it. He made me feel like I was worthless, like I was nothing without him. Slowly, I began to believe him. I thought maybe I am weak. Maybe I am nothing. But in the corner of my heart, a small voice still whispered. It said, "You are more. You are stronger. You deserve freedom." Yet fear crushed that voice again and again. I told myself, "Stay, endure, keep the family together." One evening after a long day, I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. My face looked older than my years. My eyes were empty. I touched my skin and felt the pain under it. I whispered, "Who are you? Where did Liza go?" But there was no answer, only silence. This was my silent prison, a prison without walls, a prison built by fear, by shame, by silence. I wanted to break free, but the door was locked inside my own mind. And every day I stayed, the chains grew tighter. I thought this was my forever. I thought I would die in that prison. But God had another plan. I did not know it then, but soon the silence would break. Soon my tears would become the start of a new story. Like, subscribe, and share. Chapter 3, The Night I Broke. That night was darker than all the nights before. Lucas came home late. His face was filled with rage. He looked at me as if I was the reason for all his failures. I had made dinner, but he threw the plate across the room. Food scattered on the floor, and his voice shook the walls. He shouted that I was useless, that I was a burden. Before I could say anything, his hand struck me hard. I fell. The floor was cold under me, but his anger burned hotter. He kicked me in the side. I cried out, but no one came. No one ever came. My children were not there. The neighbors could not hear me. It was just me and him. His hand, his anger, my tears. He beat me until I could not move. My body curled up on the ground. I covered my face with my arms, but the pain still reached me. When it was over, he left me there. I lay on the floor broken. My face hurt. My ribs hurt. But more than that, my soul hurt. I looked at the ceiling and whispered, "Enough. I cannot do this anymore." My voice was weak, but my decision was strong. That night, something inside me broke. Not my body, my silence, my fear. They broke, and I knew I had to change my life. I crawled to the corner, held my knees, and cried like a child. I thought of all the years I had suffered. I thought of the nights I had begged God for help, and I realized that if I stayed one day, I would die in that house. Not by age, not by time, by his hands. My children would remember me as weak, as silent. I did not want that to be my end. The next morning, with my body still sore, I stood in front of the mirror. My face was swollen. My eyes were red. But inside there was a fire. For the first time, I told myself, "You deserve freedom. You deserve life." Fear still tried to speak. Fear said, "What will people say? Where will you go? How will you survive?" But my heart answered, "Better to be poor and free than rich in chains." With shaking hands, I went to the court. Lucas followed, laughing. He told the judge I was weak, foolish, crazy. He mocked me in front of everyone. He smiled as if I was a joke. But I stood there trembling yet brave. My voice did not shout. My voice did not argue. I only said, "I cannot live with him anymore." The papers were signed. Just like that, my marriage ended. The world thought it was a small paper. For me, it was life and death. I walked out of that court free, but empty. I had no money. I had no home. My children turned away from me. They could not understand why their mother would choose divorce. To them, I looked like the one who broke the family. Their silence cut deeper than any of Lucas's words. I carried a small bag with me, but soon even that was gone. I had nowhere to go. I slept on benches. I slept on sidewalks near New York. The cold nights were cruel. Hunger became my shadow. Sometimes people threw a coin. Sometimes they walked past me like I was invisible. I begged for food, but most gave me only judgment. They saw an old woman and thought I had wasted my life. They did not know my story. They did not know my pain. One evening, I sat on the sidewalk, my body weak, my heart ready to stop. I whispered to myself, maybe this is how my story ends. Maybe God does not see me anymore. My tears fell on the dirty ground. People passed by, but nobody cared. But deep inside, I still had a small voice. It said, "You are alive. Do not give up yet." I closed my eyes and prayed. I told God, if you wanted to live, send me a sign. Send me hope. I did not know then that hope was already on its way. That night of breaking was also the night of beginning. I had walked away with nothing, but I had also walked toward a chance I could not yet see, like subscribe and share. Chapter 4, Walking Away with Nothing. When I walked out of the courtroom, I carried nothing. No money, no home, no family support. Only my broken body and my heavy heart. People think freedom always feels sweet. But freedom without shelter is bitter. Freedom without food is empty. Freedom without family feels like death in slow motion. I had lived with abuse for years. But now I had to learn how to live without walls, without a roof, without anyone to call mine. The first night after the divorce, I walked and walked. My legs shook with weakness. My eyes searched for a place to rest. Finally, I sat down on the sidewalk. The cold stones became my bed. My shawl was thin. The wind cut through me. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but my body shivered and my tears would not stop. Morning came, but nothing changed. I woke hungry. I searched for food. I looked for work. Nobody wanted me. I asked at stores if I could clean. They said no. I knocked at doors asking if I could wash dishes for bread. They turned me away. Some laughed. Some said, "Go home to your husband." They did not know that I had no husband, no home. I walked with an empty stomach until my legs gave up. Day after day, I sat on the streets near New York. Some people threw coins into my hand without looking at me. Others looked at me with disgust. A few gave me bread, but most walked away. I became invisible. I was not Liza, a woman with a life and story. I was just a poor old woman sitting on the ground. People judged me without knowing me. Their looks hurt more than hunger. At night, the cold was cruel. I curled my body to keep warm. My bones ached. My chest burned with pain. Some nights I prayed, "God, please let me die before morning." But then the morning came and I opened my eyes again. I wondered why I was still alive. My children knew what happened, but they did not come. They did not call. They did not ask if I were hungry. To them, I was the mother who had broken their family. They could not understand why I left Lucas. They believed his smile, his kind words in public. They never saw his cruelty in private. Their silence crushed me. A mother can survive hunger, but not the silence of her children. I began to lose hope. My body was weak. My spirit was weaker. I told myself, maybe this is my end. Maybe God has turned his face from me. One evening, I sat near the corner of the street, my hands shaking. I had not eaten for 2 days. My eyes were blurry. I whispered, God, if you want me to live, give me strength. If you want me to die, take me tonight. There were moments I wanted to end it myself. I thought of the bridge. I thought of the river. I thought of silence forever. But something held me back. A voice deep inside whispered, not yet. Hold on. That voice was faint, but it kept me alive. I miss kindness. I miss hearing a gentle voice. I miss someone asking me if I was okay. I miss belonging. Every passing face reminded me of my loneliness. I was surrounded by people, yet I was alone. Weeks passed like this. I was thin, hungry, hopeless. My heart was tired of beating. One night, I sat on the sidewalk, tears running down my cheeks. My body trembled. I whispered, maybe tomorrow I will not wake up. Maybe tonight is the last. In that moment, I felt both peace and fear. Peace that the pain might end. Fear that I would die unseen, unloved, forgotten. But even then, I felt something else. Deep in my heart, I felt that God still watched me. I could not see it, but I believed he had not forgotten me. I had walked away with nothing, but maybe, just maybe, he had a plan. I did not know when. I did not know how, but I prayed for a miracle. I had lost everything. My home, my respect, my family, my health, my hope. But sometimes when life takes everything, it is because something new is about to come. At that time, I did not see it. I only felt darkness. But soon a light would appear. Soon someone would reach out a hand, and that hand would change my story. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel. English Through Story. Chapter 5, Tears on the Sidewalk. That evening, the city moved fast around me, but inside me, time stood still. I sat on the hard ground, my back against the wall, my stomach empty, and my heart heavier than ever before. My hands trembled as I held my face. My tears would not stop. Each drop fell on the dirty sidewalk like pieces of my broken soul. I whispered to myself, I have nothing left. I am only waiting to die. My body was weak. My spirit was tired. I thought of my children, but they had turned away. I thought of my past, but it was filled with pain. I thought of the future, but it looked empty. My tears flowed harder. People passed me by. Some looked with pity. Some looked with disgust. Most did not look at all. To them, I was just another old woman on the street. To me, I was a mother, a wife, a woman who had given everything and been left with nothing. I cried because I felt invisible. I cried because I felt forgotten. That was when I heard a voice, a gentle voice. Ngang, why are you crying? At first, I did not lift my head. I thought maybe I was imagining it, but then I felt a hand close. Not touching, only waiting. I raised my eyes. A man stood there. He was not young, but younger than me. His face carried lines of sorrow, but his eyes were kind. I hesitated, but his eyes did not push me. They only invited me to speak. Slowly, I opened my mouth. Words poured out. Words I had kept hidden for years. I told him about Lucas, about the insults, about the blows, about the nights of silence. I told him about the court, the divorce, the cold streets, the hunger, the loneliness. My voice broke again and again, but he listened. He never interrupted. He never judged. His silence was not cruel. His silence was respect. When I finished, I looked down, ashamed of my story, but he spoke softly. My name is Barry. I know pain, too. My parents are gone. My wife and children died years ago in a disaster. Since then, I live alone. I know the emptiness you feel. His words touched me. For the first time, I felt that someone understood. He did not look at me with pity. He did not look at me with judgment. He looked at me with the same brokenness that lived inside me. He paused and then said, I live alone. My house is quiet. If you are willing, you can come with me. Cook for me. Clean the house. I will pay you. You will not sleep on the street again. At that moment, my heart raced. Fear rose inside me. I remembered Lucas. I remembered the hand that hurt me, the voice that crushed me. What if Barry was the same? What if he used me? My silence nearly swallowed me again. But then I looked at him. His eyes were not angry. His voice was not harsh. His words were not commands. They were an offer, a choice, something Lucas had never given me. For a moment, I felt hope. Still, fear held me. I asked softly, why would you help me? He smiled sadly. Because I know what it feels like to be alone. Because I cannot take away your past. But maybe I can help your future. Tears rolled down my face again. But this time, they were different. They were not only of pain. They were of relief. I nodded slowly. My voice was weak, but I said, yes, I will come. That night on the sidewalk, my story changed. My tears were still there, but someone had seen them. Someone had listened. Someone had offered me a chance. After so many years of cruelty, one kind voice gave me a reason to stand again. I did not know then where this road would lead. I did not know how much my life would change. But for the first time in many years, I felt that maybe God had answered my prayer. Maybe those tears on the sidewalk were not the end. Maybe they were the beginning. Like, subscribe, and share. Chapter 6. A Kind Stranger's Home. I followed Barry with slow steps. My heart was heavy with fear. I had trusted a man before, and that trust had destroyed me. My body remembered the blows. My ears remembered the cruel words. As I walked behind him, I thought, what if he is the same? What if I have made another mistake? But I also thought of Cold Street. I thought of the empty nights. I thought of the hunger. I had no other choice. When we reached his house, I stood at the door, frozen. My hands shook. My eyes looked at him, waiting for signs of danger. But his voice was calm. He said, you are safe here. Something inside me softened, but fear still stayed. The first nights, I slept with one eye open. Every sound made me jump. Every step I heard made me think of Lucas. I kept my bag close, ready to run if I had to. But nothing happened. Barry never shouted. He never raised a hand. He spoke gently. He said thank you when I cooked. He smiled when I cleaned. His small words felt strange, almost unreal. For years I had known only anger. Now I was seeing respect. Slowly I began to breathe again. At the table we ate in silence. But it was not a cruel silence. It was peace. Sometimes he asked about my day. Sometimes he asked if I was tired. Simple questions, but they touched me. No one had asked me these things before. I did not know how to answer at first. My words came slowly, like a child learning to speak again. One evening, I found him sitting with old photographs. His hands trembled as he touched the pictures. Tears filled his eyes. He looked at me and said, "This was my wife. These were my children. A disaster took them all. Since then, I live alone. His voice broke as he spoke. I felt his pain as if it were mine. For the first time, I realized that his kindness came from his own loss. He was not helping me out of pity. He was helping me because he knew how much loneliness hurts. Day by day, a small trust grew inside me. It was not quick. My wounds were deep. But each gentle word, each kind act was like a bandage. He gave me money for the food I cooked. He told me, "You deserve it." No man had ever said those words to me before. I had worked all my life, but I was always told I was worthless. Now I was being told I had value. There were nights when I still cried. Fear did not leave me quickly. I lay in bed whispering to God, "Please do not let this be another trap. Please protect me." But in the morning, I saw the same kindness in Barry's eyes, and my fear grew weaker. One day, he said, "You remind me of my wife. You care for me the way she did. You make this house feel alive again." I froze when he said that. My heart beat fast. Memories of Lucas rushed back. I thought if he wants more, if he wants to control me, I will have to leave. But he did not push. He only said it softly, then went silent. That silence was respect. The days became weeks. I noticed how different my life was becoming. I was not rich. I was not young, but I was no longer invisible. Someone saw me. Someone thanked me. Someone respected me. That was more than money. That was more than comfort. That was dignity. For years, I had lived in fear, believing all men were cruel. But here I was beginning to see that maybe not all were the same. My heart was still careful, still afraid, but slowly I began to believe that God had sent Barry into my path for a reason. I had walked away from everything. I had slept on cold streets. I had cried until my body gave up, and yet now I was sitting in a home where no one shouted, no one hit, no one insulted. For the first time in many years, I felt a small piece of peace. I did not know what would come next. I did not know if my fear would ever fully leave. But one thing was clear. The stranger who found me crying on the sidewalk was no longer just a stranger. He was becoming the proof that kindness can exist even after years of cruelty. Chapter 7. The dream that spoke days in Barry's home slowly began to heal me. But my heart was still afraid. I had lived too many years under cruelty. I had believed too many lies. Even when kindness was in front of me, I doubted it. One evening as we finished dinner, Barry looked at me with steady eyes. His voice was soft but serious. He said, "Liza, I need to tell you something. I do not want to hide it any longer." I froze. My breath caught in my chest. His words reminded me of Lucas, who often spoke before hurting me. My hands trembled as I waited. Then Barry said, "Liza, I care for you. You remind me of what love feels like. You make my empty house alive. I want you to be my wife." My heart pounded. The room went silent. His words hit me like a storm. A proposal. A promise. But inside me, old wounds screamed. I saw Lucas's face. I heard his voice. I felt his hand on my skin. Fear rose like fire. I whispered, "No, Barry, I cannot. If I marry you, maybe one day you will change. Maybe one day you will hit me like Lucas did. I cannot live that nightmare again." Tears filled my eyes. My body shook. I waited for anger. I waited for shouting. But none came. Instead, Barry reached for my hand gently. His voice did not rise. It lowered, filled with pain, but also truth. Liza, I will never hurt you. I will never raise my voice against you. You will be my honor, not my burden. I will protect you. I will stand by you until the end of my days. You will never be hungry again. You will never cry alone again. His words touched the deepest wounds in me. For years, I had been told I was weak. Now I was being told I was worthy. For years I had been hurt. Now I was promised safety. But still fear whispered. Fear said, "Do not trust. Do not believe." I pulled my hand away and said softly, "Give me time. I need 7 days. 7 days to think. 7 days to pray." He nodded. He did not push me. He did not demand. He said, "Take all the time you need. I will wait." That respect broke me even more. Lucas had never given me a choice. Barry was giving me freedom, even in love. That night, I knelt by my bed. I cried to God, "Please show me the truth. Please give me a sign. If this man is good, tell me. If he is another storm, protect me." My tears fell like rain as I prayed. I asked for light in my darkness. For 7 nights, I prayed. Each night, I begged for answers. I remembered the pain of my past. I remembered the hope in Barry's words. My heart was torn. One part wanted to trust. The other part wanted to hide. On the 7th night, I had a dream. In the dream, I saw a bright light. Out of that light came a figure, gentle and glowing, an angel. The angel spoke without lips moving. The voice was inside me, soft and strong. It said, "Liza, God has heard your cries. God has seen your tears. Barry is not like the one who broke you. Barry is your gift. Accept him." I woke with tears on my face. My body trembled, but my heart was calm. For the first time in many years, I felt peace. The fear was still there, but the dream gave me strength. It was as if God himself had answered me. The next morning, I went to Barry. He was sitting quietly waiting. I stood before him. My lips shook, but my voice was clear. I said, "Yes, Barry, I will marry you." His eyes filled with tears. He rose and held me close. His arms did not hurt. They healed. For the first time in many years, I felt safe in a man's embrace. The dream had spoken. God had given me an answer. My heart was ready. I was no longer the woman who was only broken. I was the woman who was about to live again. Like, subscribe, and share. Chapter 8, A New Beginning. When the word yes left my lips, I felt a weight lift from my chest. For years, my life had been chained to fear. Now, for the first time, I chose something with hope. Barry's arms wrapped around me. His hands were gentle, his eyes filled with tears. I whispered again, softer but stronger, "Yes, Barry, I will marry you." He held me tighter and said, "Thank you for trusting me." That moment marked the start of my new life. But even then, part of me trembled. I was happy, but I was also afraid of happiness. I thought, what if this ends like before? What if my hope breaks again? Barry seemed to sense my thoughts. He placed his hand on mine and said, "I know you are afraid. I will spend my life showing you that love is not pain." His words stayed with me. Our marriage was simple, but my heart felt as grand. No big hall, no guests, no music, just two broken souls standing together promising to heal each other. When I looked at him that day, I did not see a stranger. I did not see another man who might hurt me. I saw safety. I saw respect. I saw a gift that life had hidden until now. The days after marriage were strange in the beginning. I woke expecting shouts. I cooked expecting insults. I cleaned expecting criticism. But none came. Instead, every day Barry said, "Thank you." Sometimes he held my hand while we ate. Sometimes he listened when I spoke about my past. He did not tell me to forget. He did not tell me to stay silent. He listened and let me cry. And when I cried, he did not turn away. He said, "Your tears are safe here." Slowly, my wounds began to heal. My body grew stronger. My heart began to trust again. I learned how to smile without forcing it. I learned how to laugh without fear of punishment. For many years, I had lived like a shadow. Now, light was touching me again. Barry's life began to change. 2. His small business started to grow. He worked hard, but he always made time for me. He often said, "Success is nothing if I cannot share it with you." His business brought money, but more than that, it brought stability. We no longer worried about food. We no longer worried about the streets. We had a home, a safe place where love replaced fear. I thought about my children many times. I hoped one day they would see the truth. I hoped one day they would forgive me for leaving Lucas. But even if they did not, I knew I had made the right choice. For the first time, I was not only surviving, I was living. One evening, Barry sat beside me and said, "Liza, you gave me life again. After I lost my family, I thought my heart was dead, but with you, I feel alive." His words broke me in a new way, not from pain, but from gratitude. I touched his hand and said, "You saved me too. God used you to answer my prayer." Sometimes I still dreamed of Lucas. I woke with fear, sweating, shaking. Barry always woke and held me. He whispered, "You are safe now. He cannot touch you again." Those words were medicine to my soul. Slowly the nightmares came less often. Slowly my mind began to believe what my heart already knew. My past was over. Years passed, but they were not wasted years. They were healing years. Barry's business flourished. We lived comfortably, but money never became our master. We knew its value, but we also knew its limits. Peace was worth more. Love was worth more. We gave to others who struggled. Many times Barry said, "We know what it feels like to be alone. Let us not let others feel the same." We fed the hungry. We helped the poor. Every act of kindness felt like a thank you to God for giving us this second chance. As age grew on us, our bond grew stronger. When I looked at Barry, I no longer saw the stranger who found me on the sidewalk. I saw the man who lifted me from the ashes of my life. I saw the man who taught me that trust can exist after betrayal, that love can exist after cruelty, that faith can be restored after despair. Sometimes when I sat near the window and watched the sunrise, I thought of my journey from a house of abuse to nights of cold streets to tears on the sidewalk to the arms of a kind man. I had walked through fire, but I had come out alive. I whispered to myself, God does not forget the broken. God lifts them in his own time. Barry often said, "You are my miracle, Liza." But in truth, he was mine. He was my answer, my sign, my gift. Together, we found peace that neither of us thought possible. My story did not end in pain. My story found healing. I had been broken, but I was not destroyed. I had been abandoned, but I was not forgotten. Life gave me a second chance. Not an easy chance, but a real one. Now, as an old woman, I tell my story not with shame, but with courage. I want others to know that walking away from pain is not weakness. It is strength. Endurance is not the only answer. Sometimes survival means leaving. Sometimes freedom means losing everything first. But after the storm, there can be calm. After the darkness, there can be light. If you ask me today, I will say this. Love is real. Respect is real. Healing is real. I know it because I live it every day. I was once only a shadow, but now I am whole. This is my new beginning. This is my second chance after divorce. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel English Through.